This is big, and it exposes how you are lied to by your politicians and by your media. Now, before we go into detail about the latest revelations, did you notice how the proposed banning of Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from attending tonight's match against Aston Villa in Birmingham dropped from the main headlines when the police intelligence was first leaked? As a little recap, the decision to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv fans was because of police advice. That came after last year's riots last November in Amsterdam, in which there was overwhelming evidence of violence, thuggish behaviour, and racism from Maccabi hooligans who variously yelled anti-Arab racist chants, pulled down Palestinian flags from people's homes, and violently attacked people in the streets. When they were banned from tonight's match, we were subjected to mass hysteria from politicians and media outlets who claimed this decision was anti-Semitic, and that it was driven by the fact that there were fears that people would attack Maccabi Tel Aviv fans because they're Jewish. This whole saga was treated as a grave national crisis. It dominated the news headlines. There was even a BBC Live blog. There were BBC push notifications, while the Prime Minister and government ministers made urgent interventions. That was despite the polling showing that those in this country who backed the ban far outnumbered those who supported it. On top of that, Tel Aviv police themselves called off last month's football derby with Maccabi because of disorder in the Israeli capital. You cannot make this up. Now, over 2 weeks ago, we already had revelations in the Guardian newspaper based on leaked police intelligence, which showed the decision was taken because of the threat from Maccabi thugs, because of their history of violence and racism, because they'd instigated the Amsterdam disorder, and they'd randomly attacked Muslims in the streets. And after that, the whole news story just vanished from the news agenda. Well, there's more. Middle East Eye, which has done superb reporting on Israel's genocide, and their brilliant reporter, Imran Mullah, have now revealed that Dutch police told British police that over 200 of the fans who caused havoc in Amsterdam a year ago were linked to the Israel Defense Forces, that is, of course, the IDF. Now, according to the advice, between 500 and 600 fans were experienced fighters who were highly organised and coordinated. They were intent on serious violence, and they were not afraid of fighting with police. The West Midlands police assessment, based on Dutch police advice, goes on to say that these hundreds of Maccabi fans apparently intentionally targeting Muslim communities and committing a variety of targeted hate-motivated crimes, including serious assaults on Muslim taxi drivers, throwing innocent members of the public into the river, tearing down Palestine flags, and singing hate-filled songs. It added police attempts to disperse this group resulted in serious violence. It also goes on in this, the Middle East Eye going through the leaked intelligence. Several Maccabi fans were assaulted by mass groups believed to be pro-Palestinian protesters. There were running street battles between the two groups throughout the day. Significance of vandalism and street violence, including several attacks on taxi drivers and local communities by Maccabi fans, were experienced. Now, it should be noted that Amsterdam City Council passed a motion in September this year declaring Maccabi Tel Aviv Football Club unwelcome in the city. That motion was passed by a large majority of elected politicians on the grounds of the hardcore supporters exhibiting racist behaviour and indeed supporting genocide. And just to unpick what that means, they literally have a song about there being no children left in Gaza because the Israeli army have killed them all. Literally, what more is there to be said? Now, the council agreed to send an official letter to the Dutch Football Association and Olympic Committee to ban the club. Now, Lord Mann, the Labour peer appointed by the Conservatives when they were in power as the government's so-called independent advisor on anti-Semitism, just FYI, he's not Jewish himself, he's taken issue with all of this. Now, in his latest, he claims that this is entirely fictitious, that he met the chief of police in Amsterdam and was given access to their reports. He wrote a report, which he said was submitted to the authorities here, based on his own assessment, based on the intelligence that he claims to have gathered to oppose the banning of Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. I suppose I have a few questions. I mean, look, both Middle East Eye and the Guardian newspaper, according to this claim, would have printed entirely false information, which would be a massive journalistic scandal. Now, as a Guardian columnist, I can testify that anything the newspaper publishes has to be to the legal satisfaction of extremely high-powered top-level media lawyers. So if this is true as well, why after over more than 2 weeks of the Guardian's initial reporting, have the Dutch police not just come out and said that this reporting is false, or indeed the West Midlands police? You would imagine they'd immediately release a statement to clarify the information is false. Frankly, sources, given how many people would know about the information, would have immediately come out and said that this isn't true. So what reason is there for that not to happen? That's the question I've put to Lord John Mann. I would love to hear his answer. Now, he's keen to stress his independence, Lord John Mann. When I tried to interview him at Labour Party conference, he denied having spoken out about Israel. He told me to F off and grabbed the microphone off me and stormed off with it. But it took very little digging to find out that he has, in fact, commented on Israel several times. He's denounced what he calls double standards being applied to Israel. He denounced an arrest warrant issued in the United Kingdom for an Israeli politician many years ago over alleged war crimes. He called for UK laws to be changed on that as a result. He denounced what he said had become a key part of left orthodoxy, that Israel should be demonized and delegitimized, and called for that to be challenged. Now, I asked him if he'd spoken about Israel to his face, and he said to my face that I was wrong, but that wasn't true. Now, on this, I would love to hear why the Amsterdam and West Midlands police are not publicly rebutting the intelligence that has been leaked about Maccabi football fans, given its very high profile. This whole case became a national scandal. Why? Honestly, genuinely, just what's the answer to that? Now, a couple of weeks ago, Jeremy Corbyn, former leader of the Labour Party, now involved in setting up your party, rightly wrote a letter to Lisa Nandy, the culture secretary, expressing his disappointment, what she said about the decision to ban Maccabi fans, emphasising that he said it was about the risk to public safety, not about banning Jewish people from going to the match or going to Birmingham, which is just outrageous that people are claiming this. I mean, this conflation is so disgusting and abhorrent. He further said that we must avoid the dangerous conflation of the behaviour of a group of fans from the wider question of how everybody, whether Jewish, Muslim, or anything else, must be safe to walk the streets of this country, which is obviously crucially important. You know, it would be an outrage if Jewish, Muslim, or any minority couldn't feel safe. And there is anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in this country, which means that doesn't happen. But that's not what this is about. Now, he noted how Lisa Nandy responded that the people he now associates with do not share the view that everybody must be safe to walk the streets of this country. She was referring there to 4 independent Muslim Labour MPs, including Ayub Khan, the local MP, where the match is being hosted, who has rightly been speaking out about this. It was a disgusting smear from Lisa Nandy without any foundation. Now, Jeremy Corbyn rightly said this was a shameful misrepresentation of his colleague's view. Nandy further suggested that one of the MPs was behaving in a way that is anti-Semitic. It's just outrageous, baseless, outrageous nonsense. Now, Jeremy Corbyn noted why the decision was taken, the real reason, rebutting a false claim that this was an unprecedented move, and said that the conflation she was pursuing was irresponsible and represents a shameful attempt to exploit the fears and anxieties of Jewish people. The facts are, your media and your politicians fed you a narrative which was just false. They completely misrepresented and inverted the truth. And that is a massive scandal, or should be a massive scandal. There's something else too. No Israeli football team should be allowed to come to Britain. Tel Aviv Maccabi fans have been banned specifically because of their history of racism and hooliganism, which led to even the Tel Aviv police shutting down a football derby last month. They went on the rampage in Amsterdam last year. They attacked Muslims in the streets. They pulled down Palestinian flags. They sang racist and genocidal songs and chants. That's why the police banned them from coming here. That's what the leaked Amsterdam and West Midlands police advice says. But all Israeli football teams should be banned, like apartheid South Africa before them, because of Israel's apartheid and genocide. But there is another point I want to raise too. At least 421 Palestinian footballers have been killed by the Israeli state since the genocide began in October 2023, according to the Palestine Football Association. That includes 103 child footballers. That includes Suleiman al-Obeid, who was called the Palestinian Pele. He was killed by the Israeli state in August. It includes Mohammed al-Li, killed in central Gaza in June by a missile fired by drone into his 3rd floor window. That includes Mohammed al-Satri, who was killed by the Israeli army as he was trying to get humanitarian aid near Rafah. It includes Hadi Mahmoud Halawa, who played for Masada and Al-Aqsa clubs. We could go on for a very long time. The mass butchery of Palestinian footballers. How grotesque that the Israeli state can slaughter so many Palestinian footballers and then come and play on British soil. It is a disgrace. It is a scandal. And it should sicken us all. Please like and subscribe. Help us take on the pro-genocide media, which, as you can see, does not tell you the truth. With exceptions, I've given you the exceptions here, but it's important to speak out about the truth. And that's what we're going to keep doing here. You can help at patreon.com/ownjazz84. Finishing my book, Fall of the West. Do far more video stuff when I do that. Leave your press like, subscribe, leave your comments, share the video. I'll speak to you in a bit.